بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. اللهم صل وسلم على حبيبنا ونبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم في الأولين، وصل اللهم وسلم وبارك على حبيبنا ونبينا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم في الآخرين. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على حبيبنا ونبينا محمد كلما ذكره الذاكرون الأبرار وكلما غفل عن ذكره الغافلون. Say Ameen. Ameen. We are here in a very, very historical and very prevalent place in Islamic history. An event took place here which literally symbolizes and embodies the prophetic legacy of the Prophet ﷺ. What did Islam come to bring? What did Islam bring to humanity in benefit and remove hardship and harm in terms of joining between humans? Took place here. And it was a mimic of the message of the Prophet ﷺ himself when he came to Medina. Fast forward 16 Hijrah. That means 16 years after this event. The Prophet ﷺ passed away in the 11th year. And now it is the reign of one of the greatest leaders in human history. A man whose justice brings out to this day. And we feel the justice of Umar Ibn Al Khattab radiallahu anhu. He was the Khalifah of the believers, the Caliph of the believers at that time, of the Muslims. And he had a conquest period which went into the Byzantium reign, and they took over the lands in a very famous battle which pretty much ended the rule of the Byzantium Empire in this area in Sham, and that was the Battle of Yarmouk. Later on, they came and sieged this city, Bayt al-Maqdis, Al-Quds, and at that time it was known to the Christians as Ilya. And Umar Ibn Al Khattab had sent Amr ibn Al-As radiallahu anhu, the very famous companion of the Prophet ﷺ, to be the commander of that army. When they sieged this city, the general of all of these armies was Abu Ubaidah Amir ibn al-Jarrah. He wrote to them saying, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, in the name of God, the most merciful, the one who bestows mercy. Bear witness that there is one God and there is no one except Him, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we bear witness that Muhammad, peace be upon him, is his messenger. As-salam ala man ittabi' al-huda. Peace be upon all those who follow guidance. We sent to you a letter of peace, and that your lives and your blood and your wealth and your families are protected if you accept the conditions. And the conditions are that you give a tax once a year, which happens to be, by the way, less than the zakat of the Muslims. This tax that was offered to the people of Jerusalem, of Bayt al-Maqdis, is a tax that even is lower than the Muslims. Zakat. Charity, obligatory charity that we pay, 2.5%. The tax was less than that. If you accept this, we give you safety. So they said, we accept. We accept. What a beautiful offer. For the first time in this city's history, had they ever seen something like this. This city was destroyed over 22 times in human history. This city was annihilated from top to bottom. People killed, massacred by the thousands. To the extent that right before this period, there was a group from within Jerusalem that sided with the Persians to fight the Romans. And they massacred 90,000 Christians in the city. Massacred. And then the Romans came under the lead of Heraclius. If you know this name, this was the same king that the Prophet ﷺ sent a letter to. This has his own story and his own time for another time, inshallah. He beat the Persians, and he came here and he massacred the Persians. And the people who were treacherous against them, he had them kicked out of the city. And it was the Romans that Umar Ibn Al Khattab took the city from. And this city was filled with Christian people. They had never seen a type of pact like this before. That a leader, when he comes and has conquest, he offers them complete peace. Your livelihood, your money, and everything belongs to you. We will not slaughter you and massacre you like every other people did before you did. This was never seen in human history, in this city. Study the history of Jerusalem and you will find out yourself. So when this happened, they said, we will not accept this covenant except by the Muslim leader who will come and sign it with us. So they wrote a letter to Umar Ibn Al Khattab, who was in Sham, in Syria, Damascus area. They had just had conquest in this area. And the letter arrived saying the people of Ilya, at that time Quds, will not sign the pact unless you come yourself. Uthman radiallahu anhu arda said to Umar Ibn Khattab, don't go, Amir al-Mu'mineen. Don't go, this may not be safe. And Ali radiallahu anhu said to Umar Ibn Khattab, rather go, maybe it will prevent a greater harm and bring about a great safety and a covenant with these people. So Umar Ibn Khattab decided, yes, I will listen to the advice of Ali radiallahu anhu arda, and he left. And who did he leave with? Did he leave with an army of 40,000? Did he leave with an army of 10,000? He left with one man and his camel. And who was that man? His servant. The leader of the Muslim world is riding a camel with only his servant, traversing this territory. And you know what kind of clothes he's wearing? They describe it. He's wearing a type of wool, a white wool, which has patches on its left side or right side. And he's not wearing even something covering his head, an imama or a qalanswa, meaning a taqiyya or an imama. And he's going like this. And not only that, look at the justice of Umar Ibn Khattab radiallahu anhu. He says to his servant, we will switch and trade places. Because obviously sitting in the back all the time is going to be rough. So he said, at points I will carry, and then you will carry and lead the reign. When they came to this area, Quds, it happened to be Umar ibn Khattab's turn to push the camel. And he happened to traverse as well in a very dirty area in the riverbank. So his clothes got even dirty. And as he enters, he sees the Sahaba of the Prophet ﷺ, Khalid ibn al-Walid, wa Yazid ibn Muawiyah. Alright? Yazid ibn Abi Sufyan, the brother of Muawiyah radiallahu anhu, the great companion. Not Yazid, the son of Muawiyah. Yazid, the brother of Muawiyah radiallahu anhu. And Abu Ubaidah Amir ibn Jarrah. And what are they wearing? They're on top of the finest horses. And they're wearing clothes that are very, like, luxury. To represent the kind of culture and what was known as Quds in Sham was a very luxurious place. So they had represented this kind of figure. And Umar ibn Khattab comes and looks at them and he says, what is wrong with these people that I'm seeing? What is wrong with you? Have you let the dunya overcome your strategy and over your hearts? And they said, no, Amir al-Mu'mineen, rather we want the people to be accustomed to the same customs that they are. So we're wearing these clothes so that they be accustomed to us, and rather we don't give up the strategy that you taught us. So Umar ibn Khattab said, then it's okay. It's okay then, fine. You want to wear these nice clothes? It's all good. Then Abu Ubaidah radiallahu anhu arda looked at Umar ibn Khattab and he said to him, Ya Umar, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, أأنت تفعل هذا تخلع خفيك وتضعهما على عاتقك وتأخذ بزمام ناقتك وتخوض بها المخاضة ما يسرني أن أهل البلد استشرفوك. He said, O leader of the believers, do you do this? You take off your shoes and you put them on your shoulders and you take the reins of the camel and you're leading him through the middle of the riverbed so that the camel can cross. And you put all of this over, this kind of sea, and the people will not honor you. And the people will not honor you because of this action. So listen to what Umar ibn Khattab said. Umar radiallahu anhu said, لو يقول ذا غيرك أبا عبيدة جعلته تكالا لأمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم إنا كنا أذلة قوم فأعزنا الله بالإسلام فمهما نطلب العزة بغيرها ما عزنا الله بها أذلنا الله. He said, I wish, O Abu Ubaidah, someone else said this besides you. You're a companion of Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. We were a humiliated people that Allah Azza wa Jal honored with Islam. And any time we seek an honor with other than what Allah honored us with, Allah Azza wa Jal will humiliate us again. And Abu Ubaidah became quiet. And Umar al Khattab moved forward. And as he came to the city, he prayed in this area known as Masjid al-Aqsa, where the Prophet ﷺ prayed. As he walked in, he asked a very famous scholar named Ka'b al-Ahbar, who used to be a Jewish rabbi. He accepted Islam, very, very well-known scholar. He asked him, where did the Prophet ﷺ pray? And Ka'b was standing behind the dome of the rock. There was a rock, it wasn't a dome at that time, it was just the rock itself. He pointed toward the direction of the rock, but he meant in front of it. But why did he do this action? Because the Jewish people, even to this day, they honor this rock. Because they believe that Abraham, as you all know, Ibrahim alayhi salam, tried to, or was, this was the place where he would slaughter Ishaq, not Ismail, Isaac, not Ishmael, and it would be here in Aqsa on top of the rock, not in, where? Makkah, in Mina, where we believe it was Ismail, not Ishaq. So they sanctify this place to this day. So similarly, he wanted this place to be sanctified, for Umar to build the masjid there, and etc. Umar Ibn Al Khattab said to him, "O Ka'b, is this the remnants of the ignorance that you followed before? Show me where the Prophet prayed, don't show me where the rock is." So Ka'b Ahbar showed him in front of the rock where Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam prayed. In front of that area was a garbage dump. Umar Ibn Khattab had that place cleaned, and that's where he prayed. Then, where did he come to? He came to this location where he just visited. The church of the Holy Sepulcher. And as he came there, that is where Sepharonius and others gathered, which was the patriarch of the city, to give the keys of the city to none other than the leader of the Muslims, Umar Ibn Khattab. And then they offered him to pray in their church as a sign of peace. It was time of Dhuhr or Asr. And what did Umar Ibn Khattab do? He said, "I'd rather not. This will transgress against your rights. Rather, I know if I pray here, it will be taken as a masjid." So what did Umar Ibn Khattab do? He left that church and he came to this location where you are in right now. And he prayed here in Masjid al-Umari, where subhanAllah, Umar was truthful. We built a masjid on that spot. We built a masjid on that spot. And it's literally, how many, like 100 feet away from the church of the Holy Sepulcher. May Allah bless them, they were playing the Quran. And you can hear the adhan just across from one of the Christianity's most holiest sites. Interestingly enough, the keys of which 2 Muslims hold. And they open the doors for the Christians. To this day, because of Umar's justice and the Prophet ﷺ. As he came in and he prayed, he led the salah. Later on after this, he signed something with them called the Covenant of Umar. The Covenant of Umar, the Umari Covenant. And I will read to you this covenant before we end, inshallah ta'ala. He said to them, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, هَذَا مَا أَعْطَى عَبْدُ اللَّهِ عُمَرْ أَمِيرُ الْمُؤْمِنِينَ أَهْلِ إِلْيَا مِنَ الْأَمَانِ. He said, in the name of Allah, the most merciful, the bestower of mercy. This is what the slave, the servant of God, Umar Ibn Al Khattab, the leader of the believers, has given in peace and a covenant with to the people of Ilya. He gave them peace for them, for their wealth, for their churches, for their crosses, for their drink, for their wells, and for anything that they view as holy. That none of them will have their churches sieged. It will still be theirs. And they will not have their churches destroyed. And it will not cause any of them to mock their religion. And as well as their crosses, as well as their wealth. And they will not be forced in their religion to change. And they will not be harmed in any way whatsoever for the price that they will pay as a tax of protection of the city. And until the end, he mentions over 6 times protection of their churches and their crosses. And then he says to them at the end, whoever of you wants to stay and agrees to these terms, he's welcome to stay. You pay a tax less than the charity that we pay as a protection tax. And whoever of you wants to go back to Rome, you're free to go. And you will be protected from the moment you leave here until you arrive to your homes. Protected. And at the end, we swear by this in front of God. And those who witnessed this, Khalid ibn al-Walid, and Amr ibn al-As, and Abdurrahman ibn Auf, and Muawiyah ibn Abi Sufyan, وَكَتَبَ وَحَضَرَ سَنَةَ 15 Hijri. These are all the people that signed this pact. This pact, in and of itself, is a sign to all of humanity of the justice of Islam and the legacy of our Prophet ﷺ. And this, if we can only send this as a message to our Christian neighbors. If they only knew of the justice of Islam when it comes to prayer, and the covenants that we have in the legacy of the Nabi Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. I will finish up with what Umar Ibn Al Khattab radiallahu anhu did after this. Umar radiallahu anhu after this went to build the quarter which we saw as the first masjid structure after the Dome of the Rock to be built in the Masjid Aqsa area. He went there to pray, and the people around him were many of the companions of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And among them were Salman al-Farisi. And among them were Khalid bin Walid and Ubayd ibn Jarrah and one man. Every time they looked at him, they remembered the Prophet ﷺ with nostalgia. Every time they looked at him, they remembered the conquest of Makkah, when this man climbed the Kaaba and he gave adhan. And with his action, it marked the end of the systematic oppression and injustice of the Quraysh. This man symbolized the oppression of the pagans of Makkah. And that man was Bilal radiallahu anhu, the caller to prayer, the mu'adhin of the Prophet. They were all looking at Bilal. It's been a few days now, and Umar has been leading and somebody else has been giving adhan. So they said to Umar Ibn Al Khattab, Ya Umar, please go to Bilal and ask him, can you give adhan one more time for us? So that we may remember our time with the Prophet ﷺ. And Umar Ibn Al Khattab radiallahu anhu goes to Bilal and said, Ya Bilal, أتؤذن لنا كما كنت تؤذن للنبي صلى الله عليه وسلم. Are you going to give adhan for us like you used to give adhan to the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم? And Bilal radiallahu anhu said that I have made an oath that I will never give adhan after I used to see the face of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم, leaving his home and telling me, أرحنا بها يا Bilal, give us peace with it ya Bilal, and give the adhan. I never wanted to make adhan after never hearing the voice of the Prophet صلى الله عليه وسلم again. So Umar radiallahu anhu says the Muslims are asking Bilal, please make adhan for us. And Bilal radiallahu anhu accepts. And he starts to give the adhan. And I want you to hear our muazzin shall give you adhan.
الله أكبر الله أكبر أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدًا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله اللهم صل وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.
So when Bilal radiallahu anhu was giving this adhan, there was not a dry eye in all of Muslims. All of the companions started to cry, remembering the days with Al-Habib al-Mustafa sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And Umar Ibn Al Khattab, out of all of them, he fell to his knees and he was leaning against the wall of the masjid, crying and remembering his days with the Nabi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. A man who nothing made him kneel in this life except two things: the death of the Prophet ﷺ and prayer. And this was the third time, when he remembered his times with the Prophet ﷺ and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq radiallahu anhu. This was Umar Ibn Al Khattab. The conquest he had here was not a conquest. It was a peace that Jerusalem had never seen in their lives before. In the history of Jerusalem, no one saw justice and equality and rite of passage and mutual understanding that would live for hundreds of years, all the way until 1918. After 400 years of even rule of the Ottoman Empire, when this place was taken. And then you see the oppression that we see today. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us of those who represent the prophetic legacy as Umar Ibn Al Khattab radiallahu anhu did. May Allah allow us to represent that kind of covenant that we do with others. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to bring that kind of justice to society, to lift the oppression and injustice that we see in this earth, in this land today. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those who bring peace, who bring understanding, who bring justice and equality with Islam, Ya Rabbil Alameen. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gather us with Umar Ibn Al Khattab, and Abu Bakr as-Siddiq, and Uthman, and Ali, and Bilal, and Khalid bin Walid, and all of the righteous companions of the Prophet ﷺ, with none other than our Prophet ﷺ, in the highest levels of Jannah and his companionship. Wa sallallahu wa sallam ala Nabi Muhammad, wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Jazakumullah khair. And inshallah ta'ala we're done. But we are going to do one more thing, inshallah. Yes.
Before we leave, I'd like to invite, alhamdulillah, we have Sheikh Idris Watts with us, alhamdulillah, who studied more than 7 years in Morocco, alim, a well-known scholar in Yorkshire. So I'd like to request, I'm putting Sheikh Idris on the spot, I know, so I'd like to request Sheikh Idris to maybe just say a few words to the students here, inshallah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم صلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. Yeah, because they put me on the spot, so throughout Sheikh Hasib's talk I've been thinking what on earth am I going to speak about. But alhamdulillah, just a short reminder really, is that I want us, when Sheikh Hasib's going through all this history, to really realise the significance of what we're doing. Just a short background of myself is that I accepted Islam when I was 18, very much not connected to my culture and my background. I'd support probably Romania over England when it came to football, so I had no real love for my country or traditions. But something that happened to me when I became Muslim, and as part of my second year of studying of my Arabic course at Leeds University, I came to study in Fez in Morocco. And when we were walking through these streets, it just reminded me of Fez. It's very, very similar, these old city streets. And what happened when I went to Fez was I became completely besotted by the history and the culture and the traditions of the people. And I became obsessed with studying where the scholars were, they're buried, their history, and so forth. That I became an unofficial mayor of Fez, basically. I used to draw maps of where things were and so forth, that even the locals weren't really knowledgeable of. And then when I eventually came back to England after about 7 years, what I realised, what that did for me as a human being was it grounded me. And it made me sort of appreciative of my history. And so what we have to understand, why are we doing this? Why are we coming to these lands? And our next generation need this more than anything, is to feel grounded in their religion, but grounded in themselves as well. And so when us as youngsters are coming here, we are coming here and we're feeling a sense of positive pride in who we are, and a positive pride in our traditions and our cultures, so that we can come back and feel like we are someone. Because we're so often, especially in England, this became really relevant for me recently. I realised that the young Muslims that have grown up post September the 11th, and there's a real sense of There's a real sense of shame over your own culture, because you're made to feel like you're the enemy and you're a problem in society. And that has a massive ramification. So what I said in a recent Facebook post was, if you say our religion is a terrorist religion, you're only sowing the seed. You're telling us it is a terrorist religion, and so what do you expect from us? And so, our youngsters, they either go two ways. They go to extremism, or they become completely humiliated, and they distance themselves from their culture and lose their whole identity. And that comes with a crisis in itself. And so what we're doing when we're coming here is we're really realising this rich and beautiful tradition that we come from, so that we as Muslims can really realise what the benchmark is, basically, and what we can achieve as human beings. It's not to make ourselves feel humiliated now, to think that Allah has a plan for us. And this is part of it, is by coming, and you can't move forward until you feel grounded in what you have. And this is part of the process, is we're coming here and we're grounding ourselves. And to just feel the significance of this place, as Sheikh Hasib's been speaking about the night journey of the Prophet ﷺ, and then this beautiful story of Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, where he comes to Jerusalem, and in probably the only time in history where peace is established in this city. But not only that is that, and I'm sure Sheikh Hasib's going to touch on this later, is that how even Jerusalem becomes even more significant than Mecca and Medina at one stage in our history, in the future, where the Mahdi takes his seat here of rule, and that at the time when Medina and Mecca, they become completely desolated. The Ka'ba's thrown into the ocean, and Medina has just dogs roaming about it. It becomes completely neglected. And we have the Mahdi in Jerusalem. And then after that, we know that the fire sends all the people at the end of time. The fire sends the people to Jerusalem to gather, and it becomes the final gathering place of the people, and it becomes the eventual resurrection as well. And Umar Suleiman related an amazing hadith, I've never heard of it before, is about the Kaaba's even brought. I wanted to check on that, I don't know the source of it. Do you know Sheikh Hasib? He brings the Kaaba's actually brought to Jerusalem with all the pilgrims holding on to, if anyone saw that video, I think Zay, did you send it out? They're holding to the clock of the Kaaba as it comes to Jerusalem. And so really we have to sit here and what's most important is just to sit and just soak it up with the significance of this place so that we go back and we really feel a sense of being grounded. That's my intention here, an intention of obviously soaking up the benefits of praying in this holy sanctuary and really gaining these benefits. So we do go back completely cleansed of our sins like the day we were born, which is very significant because that's a Hajj basically, the reward of Hajj. And so for us to really have that intention when we're here to come back cleansed and to go back and feel a sense of pride, because what happened to me when I went back, I actually felt a sense of pride of being English again. That's very strange. And I even felt a sense of following the English football scores and being concerned about England, and they drew with Scotland recently, so it wasn't that encouraging. But what was really weird, that I brought that passion of researching the land that I was living in back to England. I came back to Keighley, and Keighley is actually listed as one of the most boring towns of the whole of England. But I'm convinced it's not. It actually has some real historical significance in Keighley, and it's got so many different denominations of churches there. And what I found fascinating, I actually became so interested in where I was and studying the history to find people who I could look up to in English history who were trying to instill the same values that our religion instills as well. And that's so important that we as a people in England, especially and in any country, they feel that sense of connection with one another and to share with one another the pride of our history, and they can share the pride of their history as well. So we feel that we are friends together in the same situations, in the same struggles, and we're not enemies with one another. And that's what I ask for all of us when we go back to our homes, that we get that sense of connection with all our communities. I ask Allah to grant us that. Thank you very much.
One final thing, inshallah, I will finish with the qira'ah of the Quran, inshallah, by our Imam.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. لقد صدق الله رسوله الرؤيا بالحق لتدخلن المسجد الحرام إن شاء الله آمنين محلقين رؤوسكم ومقصرين لا تخافون فعلم ما تعلمون فجعل من دون ذلك فتحا قريبا هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله وكفى بالله شهيدا محمد رسول الله محمد رسول الله والذين معه أشداء على الكفار رحماء بينهم تراهم ركعا سجدا يبتغون فضلا من الله ورضوانا سيماهم في وجوههم من أثر السجود ذلك مثلهم في التوراة ومثلهم في الإنجيل كزرع أخرج شطأه فآزره فاستغلظ فاستوى على سوقه يعجب الزراع ليغيظ بهم الكفار وعد الله الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات منهم مغفرة وأجرا عظيما بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إنا أعطيناك الكوثر فصل لربك وانحر إن شانئك هو الأبتر صدق الله